I really like this place here. There's like a lot of nice feature about this cabin.
I don't feel like I have a lot of words so far today.
No,
Like
me
coming
too.
to my-
I'm getting a hangover. In this life, we tend to always be negative. But today, it's the opposite. We're gonna speak about 10 things we like about this cabin. One thing I really like about the cabin here is orientation. Cabin is facing south, which means that we have like full sun through the window. Self-heat the place during like very sunny day. Even if there's no fire here and it's like minus 20 outside, the place got like stable. We can have like 18 degrees easy inside. And yeah, I think the thing I very like about this place here is the brightness. Just because of his orientation. So if you're about to buy a land or build a cabin, always think about the orientation. Don't put like shit ton of window north face, because like it's always the coldest place. And try to put your window maybe like all on the south, but there's a way to put a cabin if you can. Sometimes like it depends where you buy your land, but sometimes you can't. So when I bought the land here, I knew that the cliff was facing south, which was also like a point for installing solar panels. Orientation, yeah.
The next thing that we really like about our setup here is that our main systems are reliable and there are backups for those systems. Those being electricity, heat, and water. For example, we rely on the solar panels, but during a couple of months during winter, we're not getting that much sun. We can run the generator to fill up the battery bank, and in case that generator breaks, we have a backup generator. And then for our water setup, we rely on a SureFlow 12-volt water pump. It's one you would find in like a van life setup or RV. And we have a backup in case that one breaks, which has happened before.
Yeah, I was out there filming for like 3 months, and then one day she called me, hey, the water pump is broken, do we have another one? I was like, not really. So I think you spent like 1 month like getting water from like the shed and...
And lastly, the heat for the cabin. We rely on the wood stove. It's great. Sometimes at 4 in the morning, we're just feeling a little bit lazy and maybe don't want to start a fire. So we can start the diesel heater with a remote from the bed.
The same that you're gonna find in a van. They call it WOODSTOVE, but this one is the Chinese version. It works the same, it's very good. One other very important point, and that's a very cool feature about this place, is the fact that I can leave the place without any human during winter and there would be no disaster. So one thing I did for this cabin is like I put flush valve on every water line. So if I leave this place at minus 20, minus 40 for like a couple of weeks, if I'm out for work, then I'm not afraid that like pipes broke or like there's a problem when I come back and open everything. So if you're planning to build a cabin or an off-grid home, think about maybe putting like a system to flush the pipe in case of you're living for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even months. The water tank up there is gonna stay full and the water in the shed gonna stay full. Those tanks, they takes a lot before freezing, so you don't have to worry about those tanks. Also, they can expand, so even if they freeze a little bit, there will be no damage. But the pipes, that you want them to be empty. So flush valve on every line and you're good to go.
The other thing that we really appreciate about the cabin is the overall layout. The front wall is 18 feet and there's no closed ceiling. So it makes it feel really open as soon as you walk in. And then including 2 lofts, each space kind of has its utility without making the cabin feel closed. So there's the office upstairs and the sleeping area. So there's still a sense of separateness, but an overall open feel, which I really like. So yeah, even though the footprint itself of the cabin is small, the overall layout makes it feel really spacious and not cluttered. And I think, yeah, the lofts help a lot with that.
The other thing I really appreciate, because I was not sure if I would do it like this, but it's it's simple, it's the stairs. Install stairs instead of putting a ladder. Ladder take less space than stairs, but it's just like stairs, I feel it's always more comfortable. So if you have space, consider installing stairs. And also it's storage under it, especially in tiny house. People, they always put like some drawers, their clothes, maybe the fridge. So stairs just add comfort to your cabin. And I have an idea also, because my next point is about comfort. And I'm talking here about the wood stove. The wood stove, the way it's placed in this cabin, it's great. It's radiant, it's right in the middle, and like it's like the heart of the house basically. It brings heat all around. For sure it's not a mass heater, it's just a wood stove, but it's great to have this right in the middle. And there's another thing also, we don't have TV here, so
I was gonna say that.
it's channel number 1. Do you want to speak about the kitchen now? I can speak about the kitchen.
Okay, you speak about it.
Okay. Just looking at my note right now, I'm not texting, I'm still there with you. One cool feature about this cabin is the countertop space. I like cooking and I don't want it to be stuck like with a small place to chop my veggies, or when it's time to cook, it's important. If you have space, think and consider maybe to have like a very large countertop, because like how many hours do we spend cooking? The main idea when I designed the kitchen is to have like a long countertop and like a lot of space to work on, and it's great because we're on the same kind of idea here. There's another thing in the kitchen which I very appreciate, and it's having a normal fridge. Before we had a small one and it was like always Tetris game inside. Now it's over. You have space and it's great. We are like off-grid, and people always ask me why I didn't opt for like a 12-volt fridge or a propane fridge, and the only reason is because like propane fridge, for example, they take propane here. The same reason as all the time, I don't want to bring barbecue tank non-stop for my propane fridge, because the propane truck don't access here, unfortunately. And the 12-volt fridge, they're very good, efficient. And then after that, if you do like a comparison, like a 12-volt fridge and the Samsung that we have there, energy-wise, maybe gonna be like a big gap, but we have tons of electricity, so we're saving money there where we can. I wanted the size. We have like a big fridge, but all our veggies from our friend's farm, we put that in a shed at the back of the house where the water storage is, because the water tank, they act as like a thermal mass, and the shed at the back is always like at 0 degrees, which is considered almost like a root cellar. So in the cabin we always bring what we need for cooking and stuff, and like at the back of the shed it's more like storage.
Another thing that we really appreciate about the cabin is how well it adapts to the seasons. Sometimes people think that insulation is just for winter months, but insulating well can also keep your space cool during the summer. Also, with the shade from the trees, opening the windows, a nice breeze comes in, it stays really nice and cool. It never really cooks during the summer.
No.
So maybe with that, just an awareness of your environment. Will you have shade from the trees in the summer?
I think it's important to have an idea before building a place on how your cabin or your house will evolve with the season. Like here, for example, I could have built like on top of the cliff, but like you're so much exposed to the element up there that like it was not even a question about if I do that up there or like in the middle of the mountain. All the north wind pass over the mountain and then over the house. So yeah, I think like thinking before building about how your cabin or your house will evolve with the season, I think it's very like important. But the last thing is the battery setup. I remember when I plugged the batteries on my solar system the first time, and then like all the lights were working everywhere. I was like, my god, the house is alive. But yeah, before I had those like rolls, it's a 6-volt acid batteries. They were great, they were working perfectly, and they were cheap. That's the main point, I think, why people they get like acid batteries for their house. But there are lots of maintenance. You have to check the specific gravity of them. You have to do like equalization to have your battery bank always at the same setup. You have to fill each cells with like distilled water. And like the most important point about the acid batteries is to keep them always above like 50%. Because if you drain them more than 50%, then you begin to break the cells and then you just shorten their lifetime. Anyway, for each battery we speak between like 350 to 400 bucks depending on where you buy it. So that was the setup we had here before. And then I switched those batteries for lithium. That I could say that this changed my life a little bit because there's no maintenance, no adding water. You can drain them up to like 2-3%, no problem, and then you fill it up. As I'm talking also about like no maintenance for the lithium batteries, is like there's no EQ and we don't have to keep them always like full. And I don't know why, but they last way longer. Before we had like 2 days if it's not sunny, 2 days, and then you have to start the generator. With the new setup there, we have like 4 complete days without sun and it's still really good. And the lithium batteries, like people said that it doesn't last that long, but because anyway those batteries sometimes, if you have a problem, most of the time it's the BMS, which is like the computer of the battery. So the battery there that we have, they just made it that you can change the BMS instead of changing the whole batteries. Because they're quite expensive, but they're worth it at the end. We're talking here for the 12 volt 300 amp self-heating and Bluetooth, about like 3,200 per battery. But if I had to choose, and if you have the money for it, like just go with lithium. It's way less trouble. In a van especially, like if you're doing like van life, go with that. If you have an off-grid home and you can afford those batteries, go with lithium right away. If you're on a budget, like it was before, maybe begin with acid and then like save money, and then after that sell the battery bank and just buy like the lithium, because that's a life change. Definitely, like, we don't have to worry about electricity anymore. I think long-term wise, going with lithium, even if it's like very more money up front, then like you pay for like a life quality. So I think that's the thing for like the batteries. Yeah, the list of things here that we like extends forever. Because when it's time to build your home space, it's about your personal choice and what you like, basically. Off-grid living, it's, for example, sometimes people ask me, hey, I just bought a cabin, I want to install like a solar system, what should I put? Then it's very personal. Like installing a solar system, it's very personal because like it depends on the use and your need of electricity. It's like if you go to like a car dealer and you say, hey, I want to buy a car, I need 4 wheels. Like, okay, but what do you need to do with your car or like whatever? So this is why every off-grid setup are different and adapt to your life. Be creative out there. There's no good or bad thing to do. There's just things to try. Do you think it's good or just like fucked up to say that? It looks like a cock shaman.